all about real life things.
Ha!
Want to share?
So how are you?
Well, you know, I'm good. It's been a little bit of a crazy ride with coronavirus at our house recently. So.
Wait, you had?
Aiden had it.
Wait,
on his birthday.
It's fall of 23. We don't have coronavirus
but
anymore.
We do. But the funny part. So, okay. So Aiden gets coronavirus at school.
I'll
right?
probably have to edit out every time someone says coronavirus.
Will you really? Let's call it CB. How about that? We don't
Okay.
have to edit it out. CB. Okay.
It does. It's no big deal. I can cut it out.
So, anyways, Aiden gets the CV, right? And he gets it the week of his birthday.
Okay.
Okay. So, the great part about all of this is, you know, when he gets it, I call the school back because obviously he got sick at school. And I was like, hey, you know, my son just tested positive for coronavirus, you know. Like,
Wait, you
what do I need
told
to do?
somebody?
Oh, the CV. Yeah, then he had the CV.
But they don't really do like the
testing?
Well, like if you tell someone, I mean, are you supposed to tell people if you get it now?
I'm assuming, I'm still going by last year's rules. I don't know what rules are nowadays, and that's what I'm very confused by. So I call back up there and I tell them that, and I was like, so what do I do to get, you know, the 5 days excuse? And she's like, well, it's really not 5 days anymore. And I'm like, what? What do you mean it's not 5 days? And she's like, well, as long as he's not running a fever, he can come back.
All right.
And I was like, so we're to like flu standards now, right? Like that's kind of what I thought. I was like, I don't really understand that. Like, I don't get it.
Excuse me, miss, I have some questions.
Yeah, like so then of course I get off the phone with them and I'm like doing research and it still says like 5 days, right? Quarantine. And I'm like, I don't understand this. So I call back and then me and the nurse get into this great debate, right? Because apparently there are no standards or something like that. I don't really understand. I'm very confused.
They just turned everything off and it's all back to
right? Like
whatever.
It's back to like flu standards. So I'm telling her, I'm like, well, it says online, the CDC says 5 days. And she's like, what? I just kind of assumed it was like flu standard, right? And I'm like, I don't know. What do I do, right? So I'm like, well, how do I get this excuse? And she's like, just send the positive test in an email and we'll excuse it. And I'm like, I'm going to do this every time he's sick. At this point, like, I'm going to save this picture and send it in. Like, what a weird thing, right? Like,
so just, if you get one, just take multiple shots of it while you got it.
Exactly. Different angles, different lights on. And then your kid's excused. It's okay. And I'm like, this is the weirdest thing I have ever dealt with, you know, right? So then, send that in, excused, right? But then comes all the stuff with middle school. Like, he's got, besides athletics and band, which he can't make up those, he's got 6 other classes, right? Or 5 other classes. The amount of homework was insane. With no guidance whatsoever.
Just
they don't even care anymore. They're like...
Just hand it to you.
Yeah. And like...
Go with God.
Listen, and I'm no idiot, but I don't remember longitude and latitude. I don't use that, and I don't even how long. I don't go hiking. I don't do these things, right? I'm having to look up which one's which when I'm looking at them, right? Like, I'm like, okay, which one's which? And then, like, there was this whole page, and it was longitude and latitude, and you had, like, the words at the bottom that you were looking for, right? None of them lined up. Like, Finland. You had to put in the longitude. None of them were the same. I'm like, what? Like... And I mean, I'm Googling this, and it says, you know, Google are looking at an atlas, and I'm like, I don't understand. Like, none of these match. I'm looking at Aiden, and I'm like, listen, I'm no idiot. And he's looking at me like I'm real stupid, right? And I'm like, I am no idiot. I literally Googled this, and it still doesn't match. Like, it was the biggest crap show trying to get 5 classes and homework for 5 days. I mean, that's 25 assignments, you know? It was insane. No guidance.
So you kept him home for the full 5 days?
I did, because that's the right thing to do, because he tested positive. He ran a fever Monday and Tuesday. Wednesday, no fever. Still tested positive, tested positive, tested positive. Honestly, he still tested positive on the Monday that I sent him back. But I was like, you did your 5 days. You know, get you back in.
I don't think people are testing anymore.
I feel like it's the right thing to do, right? I don't know what's right and wrong anymore. And that's why I wanted to have this debate with you. What's right and wrong in coronavirus era? I even tested myself. Because look, I'm in your face. I'm in everybody's face, right? I could be a super spreader. I don't know, right? But what's the correct thing to do nowadays?
I think a super spreader was a myth from the get-go.
What's the right thing to do nowadays with that? That's the question.
I think the right thing to do is to not test.
To not test, and you're like, oh, it's just an allergy.
Allergies. My allergies are terrible.
Technically, I might have given it to my son and not have known. Which is another weird thing, because apparently this new strain has some sort of weird stuff to it, right? And I might have had it and been a carrier and didn't know it. I don't know, because I didn't test.
Good for you.
So that was the only time
I've never had it?
Never? That you know of.
Okay.
Okay.
I've never had it.
I mean, Lainey never has. Out of all the times that we've had it run through our house, Lainey's never gotten it. And that's probably because she's of superhuman nature, so.
The kids had it only once.
This is Aiden's second time, I think. Second, yeah. I've had it twice, Derek's had it twice, Aiden's had it twice. Lainey's 0.
I think you should have it no more times. And the only way to do that is...
Is it a thing? No, I don't know.
The only way to properly do that is to not take a test anymore.
Say we're done with that?
Uh-huh. And last week, my number one staff member was on vacation. And so I worked all of his classes and all of my classes.
Ran a marathon.
Which was pretty intense. And then, let's see. Today is the first day that I've had like an office day in like 2 weeks. So I have so much to do today.
So you say when you work for yourself?
Yeah. Today's gonna be crammed, and then we have practice again at 3:30. But last week when I was covering for Coach Andrew, I went to, because our gear kind of got tossed around, and so like different coaches had different stuff, and I drive an hour all the way over to Allen, Texas, and I had no gear in my car. So I get out and I'm walking up to this class with my hands empty, fixing to run a PE class with 20 kids with not a single thing. And so
you're like, we're just gonna run laps, guys.
Gosh. I'm like, can I get like a stick and a rock or a water bottle or something
Give me those
so we
little
can
scooters
play?
they can go around on with the 4 wheels.
So
those were so cool when I was a kid.
We do that still. In fact, we did that there because they had the scooters in the closet. So I get down there and I asked them, hey guys, can I borrow some stuff? And they're like, yeah, what do you need? And so I'm like shopping through their equipment closet, trying to figure out like what I can do to make a class. And while I'm digging around back there,
parachutes?
I didn't see any parachutes, but we got scooters and jump ropes and dodgeballs and all the basics.
That was always my favorite day when it was like parachute day. You only got it like twice.
We need to bring back the parachute.
Oh man, that was like best day. And then sometimes if it was around Halloween, you had to tell a spooky story while you were underneath. That was pretty legit.
We need to bring back the parachute. I have one somewhere.
Dude, that was my favorite when I was a kid.
All right, thanks for. We're gonna
parachute out. Your kids can thank me later.
So I'm digging around. I find a scooter, a jump rope, a dodgeball. We got a class, right? And I run the class, and then I'm putting the gear back in the closet. And I am bending around down there, and there's this weird pipe that's coming through the middle of this closet, and I'm wearing a hat, and so I can't, like, my peripheral vision is reduced above my head, and I hit this pipe so hard that, one, I saw stars, which allegedly means I gave myself a concussion. Anytime you see stars, that's a concussion.
Really? Yeah. Man, you must have done it a lot then.
Right? Okay, so if you see stars, allegedly that's a concussion. My neck popped and cracked all the way down the back of my spine. Like I gave myself an adjustment. Right.
That's horrible.
So I'm seeing stars. I just cracked every bone in my body to going down my neck. And I'm like I was stunned there for a minute. And I was like, did I just do irreparable damage to my body?
Did I just kill some brain cells?
Did I just die? Like...
Can I turn?
I'm like, do things still work? Can I feel my legs?
Oh,
like,
man.
It was awful. I hit it so hard. And it's not sensitive on top. I was worried that, like, I have a haircut coming up. I'm going to have to tell her to leave my giant egg on the top of my head.
I've had people come in with like even like stitches in their head because they've done stuff and I'm having to like barely touch it.
Yeah.
You know?
So I'm good today, but I did almost kill myself, give myself a concussion and a chiropractic adjustment all in one swoop. So on the way here, it's interesting that you told me about the CV, because on the way here, I listened to a little news clip, like, again, conspiracy theory or allegedly. I feel like I have to say allegedly.
Yeah, allegedly.
Allegedly,
you
quote
know,
unquote.
I enjoy a good conspiracy.
Allegedly, we paid this Wuhan lab to research this, and that's where it escaped from. So, like, we definitely did this to ourselves. Millions of people died, and the media is not even remotely curious about where this thing came from. Like, zero curiosity to figure out how this happened.
It was talked about for a split second and then untouched.
Why does no one care where it came from? It allegedly almost killed everyone.
I think most people want to put it in that book of it happened, and we don't want to find out anymore. Like, it's over with, it's done. You know what I'm saying? It's like you said. Are people testing anymore? No, because they don't give a crap anymore. Because they're like, I'm not going back. You know, and like for a minute there, remember when everybody was like, oh, Texas is going to put the mask in mandate again.
Like, that's
right?
not happening.
And people were like, oh, it's never happening again. I'll never wear a mask again. I mean, people want it to just be done and never talk about it again, you know? Did you ever read that article about like how many cell phones went unused in China after that happened or whatever? Did you ever read that article? I'll have to find it and send it to you. That their numbers were obviously botched, which we all know they were. But they did some research about a bunch of disconnected phone numbers in China. And it was a ton of numbers. A big number? It was a big number.
And so like if you correlate that to like...
how many people possibly... Yeah. Like it was a huge number. Huge. And they were like, the only thing is these people were gone.
I haven't heard that.
Yeah. There's some research for you. Is go look up this article and you'll be like, where did all those people go? Just because that's what the article is about. You know.
Anyone who's watching this, we are not providing any sources.
No, exactly.
Do your own research.
This is just our talk between us, right? Like, do your own research. I can't quote it completely.
Okay, but so it was good for your brother and his naps, but you know what it was also really good for was the, you know the people who like have you heard of the Cannonball, where you have to drive from New York to LA? So you get a Lamborghini or a Supra or some car. A lot of people go rent a Ferrari or something. They start in New York City and they drive to LA and then they record the time. And there's like a record, like there's an online record of people who do it, and you have to have a witness with you. There's always rules.
Nobody on the roads. It was like
there was nobody on the roads. These records hadn't been broken for years.
Record breaking.
And then it was like every month there was a new record on this for everyone was off the roads. They're just going from New York to LA like at record pace. Like driving 160 through Nebraska and stuff like that.
That's insane. No, I didn't know that.
It was really good for the Cannonball.
Records and that will never be touched for the rest of our lives.
No, because there's people on the road again.
I mean, I remember
it was like rewinding.
It was amazing.
So it was like, 2020 technology of cars. This has been going on for 50 years.
Yeah.
But you have 2020 technology of cars. But you have traffic as if it was like the 60s.
So crazy.
There's a lot of documentaries on that.
My commute, I live 19 miles from here, and my commute is sometimes, it's at least an hour, right? 19 miles takes me an hour. Sometimes it takes me an hour and a half to 2, depending on what I have to go through, right? My drive was like 30 minutes, back to what it used to be when I first moved over.
It's because we rewound the
clock.
Around the clock. Zoom, which also was another thing that was very beneficial from COVID. That company kind of blew up, right? Zoom, they just called all their people back in. It's like you literally have a company that is mobile working, and then no, you can't do that anymore. Everybody's like, come back.
Yeah, like that's just stupid. That's the interesting part about this, right? Is like we're still in the Stone Age with so many things that we could have learned from what happened.
Lydia has one as a 5th grader. She has one class that is virtual. She goes into the flex space.
And that's what it's called, the flex space?
I think it's the flex space. There's a little area in between the two classes, and the two classes share this little flex space. And she has one class in the flex space online.
So who teaches that class then? And why are they not in person?
It's a teacher from another campus because it's a higher level math.
Got it.
So there's a handful of kids who go in there. It's virtual. Now that teacher's killing it because she's been virtual
the whole time.
So this is like her fourth year.
With that, right?
Yeah. She's like the fourth. This is like her third or fourth year of doing virtual, and like she's phenomenal. You would not like based on the emails that she sends, like the weekly emails and all that stuff. Basically, you would not know that she was virtual.
Yeah.
Like, and anyway. But yeah.
So someone learned.
This one teacher at this one school, yes, has got it figured out. But no, for the most part,
everybody else not so much.
Yeah. Okay. See you in.
We have you booked, don't we?
See you in 4 weeks.
4 weeks.